Diabolis has kept their road to BlizzCon alive. We will see more of them later in the lower side of the bracket where they will play against Cloud9. But now on the main stage, we have Method Black, the team that has just been so dominant throughout the entirety of the year, trying to get a big LAN win, going up against Wildcard Gaming, which honestly at this LAN has just been doing things their own way. My name is Rich, I'm going to be your host. I'm joined on the desk by Jelly, Healingstat, and Venruki. And Jelly, in this matchup, what an HE double hockey sticks do we think that Wildcard Gaming is going to pull out? What comp do you think we're going to see?
Obviously, I think we're going to see the Rogue Mage from Method Black. Wildcard Gaming, I mean, we've only seen the Monk, Mage, Warrior. I don't really think they have anything else prepared, and I want to see if they can take out Method Black. I mean, this is a matchup we've seen so many times over and over again in Europe. I mean, even last year in Poland, they fought each other in the Grand Finals. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I want to see Wildcard maybe at least try to take a game off of Method Black.
Yeah, I think that you look at Method Black right now and they look downright invincible. I think Cloud9 is probably the second best looking team in the tournament right now as far as performance is concerned, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to take a game off of them right now. I actually was talking to some people very close to the team. I was like, do you know if they maybe figured anything out last night? They tried to figure anything out? And the answer that I got in there obviously could be some cloaked information was, no, not yet. Haven't figured anything out yet. And now when we do look up on the main stage, is it on Wildcard Gaming to actually figure something out?
Well, Wildcard Gaming, I would say, in this tournament is the team that has surprised at least me the most, and I think a lot of the people here. They came in with sort of an oddball composition. I think a lot of teams were kind of counting them out because their comps weren't really the best, but when you put Blizzo on a Warrior, you have Maro on a Fire Mage, and Looney on that Mistweaver Monk, I mean, it seems like they've really brought a composition that a lot of teams aren't ready for, and they're playing at an incredibly high level, and I think if they bring in that composition, they have a chance. But for Method Black, with the way they're playing the Rogue Mage Druid, I still have to say they're probably favored.
You know, you say that they surprised you the most. What we heard from Aya yesterday was they surprised themselves the most as well. We're going to jump down to the floor right now and see if there's anything new cooking.
Hey, you guys, before this matchup, I caught up with Wildcard, and they said yesterday they played the heroic version of Rogue Mage, and today they have to play the mythic version of Rogue Mage, so they're definitely looking a little bit nervous. On the other side, I spoke with Raikou of Method Black, and I asked him, hey, are you scared? Are you scared of Blizzo? And he said, I'm not scared of Blizzo. That guy can't land a single interrupt. So it's looking like it might be a 3-0, but we'll have to see. Back to you guys.
Oh, I love Raikou, dude. Raikou's fantastic. What is it with the mages in these tournaments? It's always so great.
I wonder who that. My first thing was like, man, I wonder who the LFR version
That's
of
what I was thinking.
team is, right?
I'll see pie after.
Well, the thing is I mean, you look at Blizzo, and this guy just is probably the only person who can play Warrior in the world right now and make it look that good besides Swifty.
Yeah, I mean,
right, Jelly?
Nice one, Rich. Nice one.
I think I figured out the LFR Rogue Mage, by the way. We were talking about a certain arcane mage on the desk potentially coming out at some point.
I have no idea what you're talking about at all. And you know, it's completely, you know, we don't need to talk about Arcane Mage right now. There are some very strong situations to lock it in. I can tell you about those later, but I don't think that this is going to be one.
You know
of them.
all about that.
I definitely, indubitably, certainly, in fact, according to the numbers that we see on the screen right now, 66%, and we're jumping into the arena 100% right now to get this game started up on the main stage. A team that's looked completely invincible going up against a team that has just been able to stick to their... That is a weird thing to pull. Swapsy, let's see what you can do.
All right.
I gotta say, one of the things we talk about with Method Black quite a lot is their potential to almost outpick themselves. So that's going to be something on our minds immediately here. They have the Rogue Mage Druid. Instead, they're actually opting for the Death Knight Windwalker, which maybe is genius. We're about to find out.
Yeah, I think for Maro, this is going to be a struggle. He's going to be trained down by a Windwalker and a Frost Death Knight, and he doesn't have the flexibility of having 2 ice blocks, you know, additional Novas that the Frost Mage would have. So for Maro, staying on target is going to be really, really difficult, and I think Blizzo's going to have to really help him out as well. Looney, it's going to be up to him to land a lot of the crowd control on the Chaz. He's going to have to push in for paralysis leg sweeps because Maro on his own with the Frost Death Knight on him, I don't think he's going to be getting too much done.
Yeah, certainly this is going to be a tough game for Maro. We've talked about the best mages. Swapsy stole the Dragon's Breath, denied the sheep with Maro's own Dragon's Breath, so a very nice play from him. We've talked about him being a top caliber Death Knight over and over again. Big damage on Maro early game. The Life Cocoon is going to be forced out there. And I mean, for Method Black, they 100% knew which composition Wildcard was locking. It's the only thing they've seen success against the Rogue Mage with. So this is their perfect counter pick for the blind. If it doesn't work, most likely we're going back to the Rogue Mage. But as you say, Frost Death Knight's so good into the mages, they have an unrelenting amount of pressure early game.
Yeah, and I really feel like as that mage, unless you have a restoration druid really backing you up, you can't do anything. I mean, look at Maro. He's been shut down the entire game. He's just a punching bag at this point. There's no peels inside. Blizzo actually maybe soloing Chaz. What is going on? Maro getting low in the meantime. I'm not sure if the cauterized proc, I don't think it did. And that is going to be an ice block. Massive damage on Blizzo, almost carrying the game completely, taking down Chaz. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find it. And now Maro is the one on the back foot.
Yeah, certainly Blizzo, if he'd managed to land the kill there, that would have been truly incredible. Soloing a Restoration Druid as an Arms Warrior is a feat that shouldn't be achievable, but now he's Bladestorming on the entirety of Method Black, looking to send them back into the lower bracket whilst dropping low fortifies, Transcendence away, now peeling with the grapple weapon there on Blizzo, shutting him down as much as they can. Obviously for Method Black, they have so much damage going. If they can just stay alive, they will most likely win this one. Maro now, no ice block. Looney's going to get crowd controlled for a very long time here by the Mage Druid.
Yeah, stolen sheep by Swapsy. Nicely done. Looney into a polymorph and then into a cyclone. Method Black, they're on fire in this matchup so far. There's no openings. Chaz has the bark skin rotated back up as well as his Iron Bark. Waz did a really good job when he was in trouble. Transcendence away, only really committed the Fortifying Brew, and for Wildcard Gaming, they need to try to find an opening. Right now, there is a slight mana lead for Looney, and that is something they might be able to maintain, but I don't know what Blizzo's going to be able to do. The thing is, if he comes back and tries to attack Swapsy and Waz, all of a sudden there is massive cleave damage in favor of Method Black.
Yeah, certainly. That's the thing that Method Black's playing for. And I mean, even if Raiku's not in the game, Swapsy's providing just as much crowd control. Chaz caught up in a full counter spell right now, but still pushes in, gets the Mighty Bash on Looney. Do they have follow-up? Has Swapsy stolen anything? It doesn't look like it on this occasion. Maro able to juke that out. Scorch is coming in. He's a sitting potato right now. He can't really do anything in this situation. He has two melees just pummeling into him. He can't really get the damage out. Life Cocoon's going to be the next defensive cooldown. In terms of mana, I'm actually super impressed that it's even close, but in terms of health, Method Black are dominating.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and this is the problem. Blizzo taking so much cleave damage from Method Black. Looney doing a good job topping them all off. I think Chaz is actually sitting down for a drink, managed to recover a little bit of his mana, and Maro does stabilize. Still 3 minutes left on that ice block. He has the cauterize. That's going to be really important for him if he does end up surviving this. Nice Ring of Frost controlling up a lot of Waz's burst damage on that Storm, Earth, and Fire. Nicely done, trying to get a little bit of control of the game. But that Ring of Peace is going to be... I actually really didn't get too much done there. Actually, it was Looney's Ring of Peace. So the fact that Looney has that frees up Maro just a little bit in the match, and that's something that Mistweaver Monk does provide. That utility is nice. Combustion gets pulled out. Waz responds with the Fortifying Brew. He should be fine.
Yeah, certainly he's got to help Maro as much as possible. Good Fortifying Brew from Waz, though. Will deny any kind of counter pressure here. Blizzo is chomping through him, though. The Disarm expires, so he's going to be doing maximum damage once again. Temporal Shield from Maro, well timed during the crowd control on Looney. Life Cocoon, therefore, is stalled until 3 minutes left on the ice block. Method Black suddenly starting to take a lead. I'm super impressed still by Looney's mana management, but it might not matter. The Cauterize comes through as Maro is going to use the movement increase from that to get away, but Waz also super low, does have the Touch of Karma available. Chaz's mana certainly isn't too much better than Looney's, and Waz is taking an incredible amount of damage. Blizzo is taking this game on his shoulders, and he's trying to fight back for Wildcard.
He absolutely is, and Waz needs to be careful in this situation. He's got the Touch of Karma, doesn't want to throw away the game. He can safely apply it on Maro, doesn't have the Ice Block to remove it, but he's also... I mean, that's a lot of confidence in Chaz in that moment. He was so close to getting executed down by Blizzo. Definitely a close call for Method Black. Paralysis now over on the Looney. Waz looking to get some control of the match. The double blinding sheet, triple blinding sheet. Waz getting storm bolted on his Fists of Fury. Blizzo trying to do everything he can, but Maro just has no mobility. The Delirium Heartstop aura from Swapsy really limiting Maro's ability to escape this situation, and he's just being tunneled down in this match. Swapsy and Waz able to put out so much pressure, but Wildcard Gaming have managed to hold on.
Yeah, it's looking still pretty good for Wildcard Gaming in terms of just the fact that they're actually surviving. You always have this like small thought, especially when Method Black aren't on the Rogue Mage, that maybe Wildcard can win this. They're not dead until you actually see 3 members out of the arena. And I mean, because of Blizzo especially, I still get the feeling that one stun on Waz could end it all. We see an intimidating shout. Unfortunately, they weren't able to find that over onto Chaz, but it did work very functionally as a peel. Maro does have his Ice Block immunity cooldown coming up in about 50 seconds, and Looney in the backline's actually looking for a drink right now. So if Maro can peel for himself, this could be a huge momentum swing. Chaz is pushing in, trying to deny, able to do so with that Ursul's Vortex, then the Cyclone Forces Trinket. Maro still doesn't have Ice Block for such a long time because of the Heartstop aura from Swapsy denying those cooldowns. Looney had to use Trinket. His mana's behind. Chaz is getting, I mean, he's getting thumped a little bit by Blizzo in the backline, but nothing he can't deal with in this situation. Maybe Blizzo's going to have to come back, get damage over onto Waz to keep them in the fight.
Yeah, Maro has the Temporal Shield available. He uses it. A huge hit from the Touch of Death of Waz, paired with that Fortifying Brew, but Looney's able to heal through. Big damage now over onto Chaz. He's used the Bark Skin, he's used the Iron Bark. Good pressure here for Wildcard Gaming. I like the strategy adaptation. Maro and Looney just trying to control up Waz and Swapsy, while Blizzo creating a lot of pressure, and if Chaz comes to the line of sight, all of a sudden, that's a Kleptomania Spell Steal. What Maro's able to assist him with a little bit of damage, and with the strategy, Wildcard Gaming, they're still in it. I think it's going to be difficult. Maybe at some point in the game they can go after Swapsy if dampening gets high enough, but I think Wildcard Gaming's running out of time.
Yeah, the split strategy is something we've seen a lot against the Frost Death Knights, because Frost Death Knights do such a great amount of kind of spread pressure with the Chill Streak. They have just a lot of AoE, so if the Warrior's not there, it means that only Maro needs to get healed. And given Looney's mana, I think that's the only real option they have here, just to kind of shut down AoE damage coming in from Method Black. But still, it does feel like the longer this one goes, Wildcard Gaming, you know, Looney doesn't have any mana left. Maro just had to use his Ice Block. He's not going to have another one of those as we're at 15% dampening. He's just got to go for the kill on Chaz. He's blinking forward, trying to get damage. Full counter spell. Very nicely played. This is a huge potential for Wildcard Gaming. The Maledict push. That's the Battle Master, but it's not going to. It's going to fall at some point, and Chaz has to recover before then.
Yes, Blizzo, he's trying to stay on target. Maro getting low in the meantime. Looney throws out the Life Cocoon as they are all in on Chaz. He's got no Bark Skin. He's got no Iron Bark. What is he going to do? Blizzo just needs to get on top of him, but he can't. Beautiful disable snare by Waz onto Blizzo, really limiting his mobility. The paralysis still. Chaz just line of sighting using this pillar beautifully, and it's Maro that just cannot get on target. Beautiful peels from Method Black. What a scary situation. Wildcard Gaming still fighting to the bittersweet end of this match, potentially. Maro, that was his second Ice Block, and I think it's so unlikely we see him get a third in this match.
And what Venruki and I were saying before this series is if Wildcard Gaming wins this series, it would be truly the most incredible thing we've ever seen, because they were completely counting themselves out at the start, and Method Black has been domination throughout the entirety of 2019. Looney, sometimes he does the impossible, and here, once again, looking to do so. Trinkets out, has Life Cocoon available to keep Maro again in the fight. I can't believe we're still saying that at 23% dampening. Chaz has no mana. Swapsy is a Death Knight in deep dampening. We've seen team after team kill those at 23% dampening. Touch of Death is up for Waz. If they don't get Maro with this Touch of Death, I think Swapsy falls, but they do get him a huge crit from that Touch of Death, and Method Black secure game one.
Method Black is going to secure game one, but I have to say, I'm really going to echo what Healing Stat said there. That was such a well-played game by Wildcard Gaming. The fact that they are still finding potential win conditions, and honestly, it kind of looks like they made Method Black already sweat more than they've had to throughout the rest of this tournament.
I mean, yeah, that was amazing. There was even a point in the game where it looked like Chaz was really going to die, and you could see Looney and Blizzo actually both go opposite ways at the pillar. And that way Chaz has to run into one of them and eventually gets stunned, but he did a really good job living there. Swaps doing really well in the Death Knight, stealing Dragon's Breath, stopping the Sheep, stealing Polymorph, using it offensively. I mean, Method Black prepared for this pretty well, it looked like, and as we know from the Meow Meow Kitty Cats, Fire Mages don't do too well in the Frost Death Knights.
And I'm also looking at the end here. Maro, what even is that? That was a huge backhand right to his face that actually sends him packing all the way to the Shadowlands. But when we actually do start to look at everything that is going on in the rest of the series, how much game do you think Wildcard really does have playing a composition like this.
Well, I think it really is up to Method Black what they decide to lock in, because obviously they have to lock in blind in this situation. And I think if they go with the Windwalker Death Knight once again, we do know Morrow, he's a great Arcane Mage. I know you're a big fan of it, Rich, but I feel like the Arcane Mage, Arms Warrior, Mistweaver Monk would actually be a really decent answer into what Method Black is running. So they might have to consider locking in the Rogue Mage Druid blind, which is also a really good matchup, into the Fire Mage. Actually, I'm kind of surprised they didn't lock in the Rogue Mage Druid to begin with, because I think it's a pretty good matchup into what Wildcard Gaming is bringing.
Yeah, I think that there is some real potential there as well. Do you think, Healing Stat, that we might see that?
I mean, potentially. I think Rogue Mage Druid is a great blind pick because there's at least got to be a good chance that they could just win every single comp that Wildcard has with the Rogue Mage Druid. So locking in blind once might just be the sensible thing to do. Worst case is you lose and then you can just counterpick with this. But even the DK Windwalker here, Wildcard Gaming, somehow, some way, they actually were pulling their way back into that one. I think if that Touch of Death didn't land the kill, the Death Knight is the liability in dampening. Potentially, Swapsy could have fallen in about 30 seconds to 1 minute in that one, so it was close. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it definitely. I think this is one of the closer games that Method Black has really played. Throughout the entirety of the tournament, I cannot stress it enough. They've just looked simply invincible, a thing that has also happened throughout so many of the cups as well. I mean, this is just a team that was able to pull down so many points that you wouldn't think it was even mathematically possible, and they will not take anything but a win from this tournament and be happy.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost a single map yet, and I was talking to Waz yesterday, that's their goal. They don't want to lose a single game, and if they can have that momentum going into BlizzCon, they're looking like the team that will potentially win it all. So this series is obviously going to be really important for Method Black. What I want to see from them is locking in the Rogue Mage Druid. It's their best overall composition, but it just seems like they're so prepared that they want to take the more high percentage play. You wouldn't think there'd be a comp that was better than Rogue Mage Druid to a lot of these teams, but they've managed to find answers that are even better than what I think is the best comp in the game, and they're just dominating these teams.
Yeah, I mean, Jelly, look at what they were able to do yesterday as well, bringing the Death Knight and the Rogue. Right, like that was something that I don't think anybody expected to see, and it seemed very tailored to a particular situation. I think this comes back to the idea that we were talking about with them being the most prepared team with the most amount of war games as data inside of their head.
I mean, yeah, the one thing that some teams have a huge advantage of is being the best at your class. Not only are these people the best at their classes, but they're also extremely flexible bringing in all these comps. I mean, it's very impressive to do so.
It's like the only other time that I really think about squads doing stuff like that and being able to pull off things like that, it includes members who are on this roster. I mean, mostly in Swapsy. I think back to one of the longest dynasties that you really have as far as BlizzCon wins go, Healing Stat, and you think about like Fab sitting there with a piece of paper that has like, if this comp gets locked in, we play this comp. If this comp gets locked in, we play this comp. And you're like, wait, does that mean you can actually play 37 comps? Like, what on earth is this? And I feel like Swapsy really does bring that style of thinking to this team as well.
Yeah, I think he really does, and I mean, I very well remember that dynasty. I was on the receiving end of it once, so it's not something I think of fondly. But of course, in terms of World of Warcraft, that has been the legendary team. It was, of course, the combination, and all of those teams have had Swapsy. The guy has 2 BlizzCon titles under his belt, one of the very few people to have achieved that. And honestly, all the people that have achieved that have played with Swapsy, so yeah. He has been an absolute legend in World of Warcraft for a long time. And I think with Method Black, they're actually one of the few teams. Sometimes we criticize them for it. Sometimes we praise them for it. This has got to be one of those occasions where, you know, they have the best comp in the game. A lot of people would say the Rogue Mage Druid. But I actually am starting to wonder, let's say Daedalus or Cloud9 does make it through to the grand finals. I question if they'd even lock in the mirror in game 1. They seem so confident in different compositions that they've prepared as answers. Maybe they don't lead with that and then they ultimately revert back to it. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Well, I think the old adage of you either play RMD or you lose to RMD, right? Like, it's like that idea, beat RMD or beat RMD, right? You need to do one of those things to actually win the tournament. I think they're like, wait, why would we mirror? We actually have a better answer. And not many teams have that. And I feel like a lot of teams who have the RMD say, oh, wait, we are RMD. So why would we practice?
I think a lot of that comes down to Swapsy, because I feel like there is a certain ego in Rogue Mage Druid mirrors. Rogue Mage in particular, you want to be, if you play Rogue Mage, you want to be the best Rogue Mage. And I think the teams take a lot of pride in actually winning mirror matchups. But when you bring Swapsy on the roster, he can sort of make you check yourself. He wants to bring even better answers where I actually talked to him in the past, and he says he wants to be in a position when he's on the stage where he can play bad and still win.
Yeah,
and I think that's where the preparation comes in. If you're prepared with compositions, you have so many games under your belt where you know exactly what to do in every situation. You can make mistakes in a game and still pull out the victories. But here they are getting the victories, and I don't really see too many mistakes.
I think we've played with that idea though a little bit as well in other portions of the tournament where we were like, wait, like we saw this team make mistakes, but because they are favored in the matchup, they're able to get away with it. And you see the teams that are playing a comp that is more tailored to what their main class is, what their main spec is, and all of a sudden, if they make a mistake, it's just over. And I feel like that was a position that a lot of times you guys were actually in throughout the entirety of the year. Like, yeah, you got WizK playing absolutely out of his mind, but if he slips up on one global, it's just completely done and dusted.
I mean, we were just on the opposite spectrum, right? It was like, okay, we realized we did make mistakes. We're like, okay, we're on our mains. It'll be a lot easier to play perfectly on this, instead of realizing what Swapsy realized, which was the opposite. It was, let's just get into a matchup where we're going to win, and we can mess up a few times, and it's okay, because you're not always going to play at your 100%. It's impossible to happen. We're not robots.
Yeah, it's impossible to happen over an entire tournament, right? Like, could you have that one series? Yeah, we've seen teams maybe even do it for one whole day of a tournament, but to be able to just keep that going for an entire season, yeah, you would need to be a robot, and I don't see any robots. I just see smiley faces in the chat right now. So if you guys know any WoW playing robots, be sure to have them hit us up, because they'd probably be good at the games. But right now we're looking at two teams that are definitely insane at the game, Wildcard Gaming and Method Black.
We might not be robots, but on this map, we will find out who are the true Kulterans. We're here at Hook Point for Game 2 between Wildcard Gaming and Method Black. And of course, Method Black, they did go for the blind Rogue Mage Druid. Wildcard Gaming answering with their Warrior Mage Monk. Now, this will be the true test. How does this game go? If this really is an even matchup, then Wildcard Gaming are onto something. They just have to have a good blind pick, a good answer for the Windwalker Death Knight, and they could take this entire tournament. But in the early stages, Mara's falling behind.
Yeah, Maro getting lower and lower. Kidney shot on Looney. They've already got his trinket, but the Life Cocoon connects, and we've seen Wildcard Gaming do a good job. They did manage to beat Diabolus in sort of this matchup between the Warrior Mage Monk and the Rogue Mage Druid. Raikou falling further and further behind. He's in execute range. Dangerous. Chaz goes to the Cyclone onto Blizzo, manages to find it, and as a result, Raikou's able to hold on to that precious ice block.
Yeah, very, very nice Cyclone from Chaz, and that's the best Druids, right? The best Druids will go for that Cyclone instead of they're going for the kind of desperation healing there. Such a good identification from him, because, any amount of regrowths in execute range, and Raikou's probably just going to press his ice block. He's not going to risk that. So very nicely done by Chaz. Method Black in commanding position in this game, though, to be honest, Wildcard Gaming do have good lifelines. Blizzo has just been such a good force. You can see him blade storming out of the sheeps, min-maxing that. He waited for Looney to dispel the first one, then put himself on DR by blade storming just after the sheep landed. Definitely making sure that he's using every single tool in the warrior kit at the very best ability. Looney without trinket right now. If Raikou can get over there, he can easily get crowd control, but Blizzo is just snaring him up. Looney using that Mistweaver pick has been so good this tournament. Look at how he's able to kite. Chaz runs over, he transcends away, constantly line of sighting both members. Now finally gets caught up in that Mighty Bash. Let's see what Method Black can get done.
Yeah, let's see what they can do. War Banner dropped out by Blizzo. Is trying to limit the crowd control. Nicely done on the kitty shot of Maro and the polymorph onto Looney, but Maro getting low. Temporal Shield. Nicely timed by Maro. He does a really good job of using the Temporal Shield, and if his Cauterize is going to proc, he uses his Blazing Barrier in order to deny that and actually get the heal from Temporal Shield. So it's something I've noticed him do. It's really good heads-up defensive play. Now getting aggressive with the Combustion. Decent damage over onto Raikou as he kites away to the safety of Chaz, looking for Cyclones, but Blizzo looks for the Spell Reflect. Chaz doesn't fall for it and manages to get the control onto Blizzo, pop off Raikou. Method Black is now on the offensive. Maro's just being trained down in this matchup by Waz. Raikou making sure he and Chaz, their main goal is to just limit Blizzo's damage as much as possible in this match and eventually, slowly but surely, take down Maro.
Yes, certainly Method Black have had the most control in this game, and that's what you expect, right? With the Rogue Mage, the Rogue has so much control over the game with the kidney shots. Here, once again, we see that happening, but when Wildcard do get momentum, it's crazy. Like, that was one counter spell onto Chaz, and Raikou might have to ice block. He actually gets pummeled here on the Arcane score, and they do force the ice block through the Iron Bark. That's what I'm talking about with Wildcard Game. Gaming, they make the best of their composition. One counterspell, one in-cap from the Monk, and that's an ice block forced from Raikou. So incredible in terms of just raw pressure coming out from Blizzo. He's top damage, I believe, in the game. Yes, he is currently slightly over Waz. He's been such a driving force for Wildcard Gaming, but in the meantime, Method Black, they have so many crowd control options. Once again, swapping to Looney.
Looney.
This could be it.
He's in so much trouble. Kidney shot, bash, cheap shot, Garrote silence. The fortifying brew isn't going to be enough for him to survive. Intimidating shout. Maybe saves the day. He needs a few more seconds on the life cocoon, but he gets the heals he needs. And Chi torpedoes away to safety. The mobility on the Mistweaver Monk really paying dividends, but Waz still all over him. Blizzo and Morrow, they need to help him out. I don't know if Looney's going to be able to survive. Still cutting away, paralysis onto Waz, but the Shadow Step kidney shot. This could just be it. I think Looney's going to fall. The Dragon's Breath,
no way!
Life cocoon! Hero plays by Morrow keeps him alive.
I cannot believe it. Looney was so greedy not to use the life cocoon before that stun. Morrow saves the day. Counterspell now. Waz is being snared up by Blizzo. Blizzo also all over that one. There's no counterspell, so if they can just kite away from Waz, Looney should be able to stabilize, but just kiting away from Waz, not the easiest of tasks. A well-positioned Ring of Peace is going to deny as Waz goes back to Morrow, but what a stellar play from Wildcard Gaming to stay in the match. Mana still slightly in their favor. If they can keep playing off these heroic game changes that they have been doing, maybe in the long run they actually win this one. They have one ice block down on Raikou. Chaz's mana's at 50%. It's a small map. Blizzo has uptime. This is not looking too bad, but it's so scary.
It really is. Looney and a bash into a Ring of Frost once again. War bannered by Blizzo. And if there's any warrior you want backing you up, it is going to be Blizzo. Looney forced to use his trinket on the blind. Combustion. This could be the second ice block from Raikou. Massive damage. Chaz gets caught into a leg sweep. Good control here by Looney as he pushes forward. Is it going to be the ice block through Ironbark? It looks like he has enough healing with the Temporal Shield, and Raikou manages to survive barely. That was a good offensive push by Wildcard Gaming. If we look at mana, still relatively even for both these teams, and this is really back and forth, Adrian.
This has been a legendary game so far, and I mean, these are two teams that we've talked about it. We've called it so many different names this series. Wildcard Gaming versus Method Black, the Rogue Mage team against the anti-Rogue Mage team. There's been so much history between these two guys. They, of course, were the grand finalists in the summer finals last year, now playing a feast of a series for us in the upper bracket. Low, second ice block comes out, huge burst once again, but they're trying to reverse it onto Looney. This was the perfect time, honestly, to force the ice block, because now Raikou is doing no damage in what could have been, again, another kill attempt over onto Looney. Chaz still not out of crowd control, and Raikou's still low on health.
Yep, that's the Ironbark and the Temporal Shield. If they can continue this pressure, it might be able to just take Raikou down. Wildcard Gaming, are they going to tie up the series? Are they really going to beat Method Black's Rogue Mage Druid? This would be an absolute miracle. Right now, Morrow's in a kidney shot. Nice control from Chaz, getting the Cyclone, trying to top off his team, but Raikou in a position where he doesn't have an ice block for another minute and 45 seconds. Morrow getting low. Big damage coming in from Waz and Raikou. Both these mages are in trouble, but it's Morrow that still has the safety net of that ice block.
Yeah, so many have tried, so many have fallen, but Wildcard Gaming lead the game. Raikou in execute range, the sheep's coming in, but it's a pyro blast from Morrow, and we've got a tied game, Rich.
What? I have no idea what Looney said, but definitely some reason to rejoice there. I think these guys are taking a matchup that's like a 10, maybe 20% matchup and making it look like a 50-50.
Raikou took that one to the heart as well. You could see that that really hurt him.
No, Blizzo took that one to the heart. What Raikou said earlier about not landing kicks, he kicked him almost every single time he was on him. That was insane. And Morrow,
We got to count it next time.
to play Mage without the Rogue is, especially in this meta, is extremely difficult. And it looks like he has a Rogue on his team. That's really good.
It's actually insane, to be honest with you, because if you look at Morrow's build, instead of playing the Conflict and Strife, which is the safety net, a lot of the times you want that extra versatility when you are stunned. Instead, he's playing the Crucible of Flame just to add more damage, a little bit more punch during these goes, and you can tell, I mean, Blizzo and Morrow, they have so much damage.
So I just double-checked really quick on the meters. Blizzo landed 13 kicks that game. So yeah, he's landed a couple of kicks every now and then.
I mean, if you want to make a comparison, Waz landed 5.
And he's a rogue. You know how hard it is to land a kick on a mage as a warrior, especially a frost mage?
Tell me about that, Survival Hunter.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Dude, they are playing out of their minds. And this is really one of those situations where we start talking about, look, you can't make mistakes on this composition at all. They are just creating so much for themselves, and they're making this composition not look like it is outmatched at all. I could see them taking the series on this comp, Jelly. If they are going to do it, what do they need to do in your mind, though?
They need to do the same exact thing. They need to get the crowd control over in the Chaz. They need to randomly just get a lot of pressure, even without crowd control at some points. And to do that, Blizzard needs to play as well as he is in this series. I mean, if he landed 15 kicks this game, he needs to land 15 kicks the next game.
There are Warriors, and then there's Blizzo. Let's see if Wildcard Gaming is going to be able to take it when we return.
I think a lot of the mages here, it's one of those classes where it definitely is a little bit of ego involved.
I think the best mage in the world is the one who has the best results.
I mean, the best mage in the world at this point is like really obvious. Like I would say it's obviously me. I don't think anyone's close to me on mage right now.
If like someone like Maro or Alec or Frykit would say they're best in the world, they have no results to back it up since 2017.
The best mage in the world is probably me when I play a lot.
I've never done worse than a single European mage at a single LAN since 2015, except for one tournament in 2017.
I think I'm the best mage in the world.
I've always done better than every other mage, like except that time. So I still believe I'm the best.
All right. I have some things to say, and we have Benruki on the desk as well, who's definitely got
Like
a lot
I
to
said,
say.
a little ego.
You know what I want to bring up that I feel like people don't talk about nearly enough, because this conversation of best mage pops up a lot. It's real easy to say you're the best mage when you have a rogue on your team.
Well, that's one of the things. I actually got asked that question, and I was really dodgy with who I was going to say. But if I was to pick anyone, I think it was going to be Maro. And I mean, obviously I can say that now. He's doing a great job. But I feel like a lot of the mages, they don't play all the different specializations. And that's one thing that's really important to me, at least, is playing Arcane, Fire, Frost. And I do think I have to agree with you just a little bit. What?
In chat, the Beast Incarnate said best mage of the world is casting the tournament right now.
Yeah, I mean...
Rich mage.
Thank you.
In all seriousness, like, hearing your opinion on it, I think is really important. But I do think when you actually sit down and say, okay, yeah, Raikou, he is a fantastic mage, but he always has Waz on his team. That's going to be one of the things that enables a mage to look fantastic and have results a lot of the time. When you look at someone like Maro, he's been doing the impossible roles, and he is creating results. I personally think Maro is the best mage, and I would be willing, if somebody actually made the argument that Wealthy Man is the best mage, I would accept that.
There's a lot of good mages in the game, and I think a lot of the different mages excel at different things, different playstyle, different compositions, but I feel like Mage, you get enabled by your teammates a little bit, and when you see, Maro play the Fire Mage right now, the way he's doing it, he's not really relying on his teammates whatsoever. He's setting up for himself, and he's making things happen.
Yeah, are you about to say Jamili?
Okay. We won't
I
go
think he
there.
was going to say Jelly Mage, probably, right?
I mean, of course. But the only mage last year, if you look at it on paper, to actually make it playing only mage comps was Maro. Raikou had his teammates to back him up last year.
I think Maro has been stellar, and the other thing is he's been multi-classing too, right? He's been playing the Moonkin, doing all these things, but on the raw mage, like, think about this guy's history. Compared to Raikou's been on one roster, maybe two rosters. Maro's played with Ratapai, he's played with this squad, he's played with Villi in the past, he's been everywhere.
And you think about that Ratapai roster, a completely different play style. Then he adapts to another completely different play style. Now, you do have to give Raikou a lot of credit on his Demon Hunter. That has been a big thing by him, but so far, Wildcard in this series has looked like individually the most skilled team in World of Warcraft right now, completely skilled capped on their classes. Will that be enough on Tolvaron?
Yeah, let's see what happens. Right now, it is going to be the Demon Hunter Death Knight? Demon Hunter Death Knight into the Warrior Mage Paladin. Interesting counter pick. I feel like a lot of this comes down to the fact that Looney is playing the Paladin, and they do feel like the Frost Death Knight, the Demon Hunter, those are two classes that do excel at not only taxing Looney's men on the Paladin, but also potentially just taking him down during the game. So I don't mind this pick, but this is something Method Black does quite often, is they fall trapped to playing these alternate compositions, and if they win, it's going to look genius, but if they lose, it's going to look really foolish.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing was, when it came to the Mage, Warrior, Monk composition, we actually thought the Monk was a big reason why it was actually doing well into the Rogue Mage, because Looney was able to kite, avoid crowd control. Paladins are stationary, so they could have potentially locked the Rogue Mage into this. Raikou is going to be tested heavily on his Demon Hunter here. We've talked about him versus Trill on the Demon Hunter. I personally think he's up there with him, but we haven't seen him as much on this class, of course, because of the team's success with other compositions. Raikou now on the Demon Hunter, he's going to be the focus target for Wildcard Gaming. He didn't have a great deal of fun with Blizzard on Warrior on his Mage. Let's see if it's a bit better on the DH.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. Swapsy and Raikou are putting out massive damage, and Looney's kind of struggling. He's already used the Divine Shield. I'm not sure why he traded out his Divine Shield, but he did. And now Marl's still in a situation where he's low. The pressure from Method Black is huge in this match, and they're developing a momentum lead, a mana lead, and I think maybe this pick was the answer for Method Black.
Yeah, it's certainly looking good. I think the Divine Shield, the way that Method Black's playing is just for the Mana Rift win condition, so Looney probably is trading that out to preserve his mana, using stuff on cooldown, which I think is a respectable choice, the way it's playing out. But of course, Method Black with a Demon Hunter on their team, Looney could be a viable kill target as well, so that's something they might consider going for in the future. Raikou, though, instead, they have a very kind of spring season playstyle here. Go for the mana rifts, go for the kill. Let's see if Wildcard Gaming have the spring season answer, which was start to attack the Restoration Druid. You can see Blizzo already kind of gunning for that. They don't have a feral affinity of their own on the team, but with a Holy Paladin, I do believe they should have the kind of elongation, like the ability to drag out the game, potentially find a kill on Chaz if Blizzo and Maro can find kind of one of those one-shot opportunities.
Yeah, we'll have to see. For Wildcard Gaming, I don't know if I like this pick very much in blind. I don't know if the Paladin offers the same sort of flexibility as the Mistweaver Monk with the Warrior Mage, but we'll have to see how it works out. So far, the game is looking really good for Method Black. They're developing leads all over the place. There's decent pressure on Swapsy right now, but I think Chaz should be able to easily heal him up. And on this large map, with Maro's mobility being limited, I feel like Chaz is always going to be able to drag away. Looney's always going to have to cross the midfield, and this is when he gets gripped into the Chaos Novas. This is just perfect setup for Method Black.
Yeah, they've landed every single mana rift so far. Method Black, you can tell this is an incredibly prepared team here. They have everything on lockdown in terms of compositions. Wildcard Gaming, though, have shown sheer class here this weekend, and they are looking to brute force their way to the grand finals. Blizzo on the Warrior, chunking away at Chaz, but the Bear Form Druid, presumably he's running the Guardian Affinity as well. No reason for Feral or Moonkin in this matchup, so he will be incredibly tanky into Blizzo on that Warrior. He's going to have a lot of armor. You can see him just kind of free casting right now. Jukes out the kick or not. The kick is landed by Blizzo. Very well done by him. But Looney, I mean, the story for him is that blue bar, 30% remaining. Every single mana rift is 8%. Roughly at the point dampening starts. If he doesn't have a mana pool, Wildcard Gaming are going to struggle in this one.
I mean, they're struggling right now, even when he does have mana, so I can only imagine what it's going to be like when he's completely tapped, which is almost an inevitability at this point. I feel like he's never going to get to sneak away for a drink. One more Fell Eruption into a mana. If he actually trinkets out to avoid it, and Looney's doing the best he can, trading out the Everyman for himself, the Divine Shield to avoid those mana rifts, but there's just no pressure. Right now, Blizzo's just sitting behind the pillar trying to attack Raikou, but Raikou's just healing himself up. He's completely fine. Finally, a disarm coming in from Blizzo to slow him down just a little bit, but Swapsy knows exactly what he needs to do in this matchup. He's just going to sit on Maro, put out as much damage as he can, keep him snared up, keep Delirium, Heart Stop Aura on him, and really limit Maro's mobility and his ability to actually get the crowd control they need onto Chaz in order to win the game, because unless they get crowd control, I don't see them taking anyone down.
Certainly, and Looney actually, he's going for an interesting play here. He's going for the drink. Of course, Paladins, actually, one of the nice things is that you can dispel diseases, so the Death Knight is going to have a harder time keeping you in combat. Very nicely identified by Looney. He actually sat down for a couple of ticks there. It does cost them the Ice Block, though. Mara dropping very, very low, has to trade out that significant defensive cooldown, and suddenly Method Black, you know, they have a lot of openings in this game. They have the Mana Rift, they have Blizzo low. Arms Warriors don't have much self-healing after the nerfs to defensive Azerite traits I think around about a month ago, so there are 3 open targets for Method Black. There's a mana win condition, but Wildcard Gaming, to their credit, their health bars are stable. Looney still has a fair bit of mana, and that was a really nice drink, so using the big map to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Looney doing a really good job, but that was a really nice play we need to call out by Swapsy. Looney sat down for the drink. He went for the huge heal with the Divine Favor. Swapsy actually gripped it and then blinded it, so Marl was forced to use the Ice Block. That was a great play. Now Chaz actually getting targeted down, and maybe Blizzo going after Chaz a little bit more. With the addition of a Hammer of Justice from Looney, I could see them really getting some pressure, but the main problem is just Morrow. His Shimmer is such a long cooldown that he can't get on top of Chaz. Finally, with the Freedom, trying to stay on target, and that's the one thing the Holy Paladin brings, which is nice, is that Blessing of Freedom allows Morrow a little bit more room to maneuver around the map, and if they can, pull that off, stay on top of Chaz, they might be able to take him down.
And we see another Mana Rift coming in. That's going to be the Divine Shield by Looney, so the immunity cooldown is used. Raiku's actually been tunneling down Looney, and Looney has been doing a really, really good job of just keeping his health pool high, because I've seen a lot of Paladins, when a Demon Hunter tries to 1v1 them, just kind of fall over, whether it be in 2v2, 3v3. So Looney, this isn't an easy task, just kind of surviving Raikou. Maybe he's faking out some of the kicks, it's hard to tell, but either way, he's doing a stellar job. Swapsy now connecting, and that's going to be a tough ask for Looney. We see the Hand of Sacrifice was used there as well, with the Divine Shield, so there was no redirect on the damage, but the mana is low, the health is low. Avenging Wrath is up. It's the last line of defense here for Looney on that poor little Holy Paladin. 11% dampening as Method Black look to close the game.
Yeah, Looney out of line of sight, but almost completely tapped on mana. Chaz in a Stormbolt. Do they have the damage to start getting some pressure rolling? He's in bear form, and Chaz has been doing a really good job, as he has been the main pressure point in these matchups. He has to play well defensively, rotate through his defensives, try to stay out of line of sight, and he's been doing his job perfectly. Right now, 7 minutes into the game, 13% dampening, and at some point in the game, Wildcard is going to be able to go after Swapsy when they need to. Right now, Chaz is the main point of contention. They need to pressure him down, but later on, if they can go after Swapsy and Deathstrike's healing is limited via dampening, then Wildcard Gaming could end up getting a kill, but it's just a matter of if they have enough time. I mean, look at Looney's mana. He's 50% health right now. He's got no defensive cooldowns. He's completely tapped. He needs to go for a drink, but he's caught in midfield, and Raikou and Swapsy are looking to finish out this game.
Yeah, I actually like the Stormbolt swaps from Blizzo. This is something we've seen in the past against the Mana Rift strategy. Time the Stormbolt with the stun on Looney to mitigate the number of Mana Rifts. And since Looney is so low on mana at this point, those mana regeneration essences are going to be they're going to start kicking in, they're going to be very effective. So denying Mana Rifts at this point is key for Wildcard Gaming's success in the game. 20% dampening. They actually have enough dampening now that I think they could kill the Demon Hunter or potentially the Death Knight. You can see Blizzo opting to cleave a little bit more rather than tunneling down Chaz. They actually have some mana pressure on the Restoration Druid as well. It's down to Looney. How well can he survive? Uses the Holy Avenger, unable to be purged because of that Stormbolt. Darkness comes out, counterspell on Raikou. Almost saw the end of his life. Now the Hammer of Justice, no reverse magic. Is there a Blinding Light to follow? There is. Looney's excellent job. The Trinket comes in. Raikou has nothing left. Wildcard Gaming could take the swing match.
They definitely could. Raikou almost in execute range. Finally a big heal landing from Chaz, but Blizzo, Looney, Morrow, all three of them are in trouble. What is Looney going to do? He's got no mana. He's trying to run. He's trying to hide, but Raikou and Swapsy are in hot pursuit. Looney manages to find some heals, still trying to get behind the pillar. Intimidating shout. Beautifully done by Blizzo, just trying to slow down Method Black a little bit longer, but I feel like Method Black, they've found their stride. If they could take down Raikou, maybe. I just don't know how Looney can live much longer.
I can't believe he's still alive right now, to be honest, Ben. The Avenging Wrath falls off. That's the last defensive corner. There's a Raikou, there's a Swapsy, there's
Looney's
a Method Black looking to go 2-1 up in the series. Looney knows it, and Method Black are one game for the grand
The final moments of the game, when we see the replay, you just have to look at Looney. He's just laughing. He's like, yeah, that's about as good as I'm going to be able to do.
Oh, man, you got to love it. I mean, the thing is with Wildcard Gaming right now is I don't think you can break them mentally. I think that they are just so prepared for anything that's going to happen. And even in that, the fact that they had a go here towards the end, Jelly, is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, honestly, if Raikou were to fall there, that would have been on Method Black. I mean, he still had Blur the entire time. No, he didn't have to use it. He just uses Darkness. They still had Iron Bark. They had a mana advantage. Looney's completely mana tapped at this point. I mean, there's nothing else he could really do. I wouldn't even say that was a poor game played by Wildcard Gaming. I would just say Method Black also didn't make too many mistakes.
Yeah, man, I honestly want to see the replay of that kick W, man. He's just cracking up there on the main stage, not a care in the world. And ultimately, I think this is a really good adaptation for Method Black. I think we find ourselves in a situation where, once again, we say this is a team that is going to be very dynamic. They can figure things out in the middle of a series, and also they have a lot of practiced compositions where, you know, if you throw a curveball at them, eventually they're going to figure out how to hit it out of the park.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think for Wildcard Gaming, this has kind of been a story for us on the desk risk as well. Like at the start of last year, we were like, oh goodness, it's a Wildcard gaming series. We're going 70% dampening. We're joking about the records being set by Looney. Now these guys have become one of the most fun teams to watch. They're bringing in these compositions no one else is able to make work. They're finding victories. And I mean, in this series, they forced Method Black off of the Rogue Mage. That was Method Black's counter pick. They didn't play the Rogue Mage. And I mean, that wasn't even Wildcard Gaming's first comp into it. If they can win this one, it would be fantastic. But Method Black, to their credit, so prepared. They have so many compositions on lockdown, and that was another clean game from them.
So we see the clear inevitability of bringing in a Demon Hunter in a situation like this, right? He's going to be able to just pressure the blue bar there, gonna get Looney eventually to a spot where he's just not going to be able to cast anymore. He's not going to be able to heal himself up. But if we do find a swing matchup potentially for Wildcard Gaming, how can they counter something like the Demon Hunter with the current arsenal that they do have in Rookie?
Honestly, the Arcane Mage, I think that's their best bet. I think these cleave setups are really difficult for the Fire Mage, the Frost Death Knight in particular. I don't think Arcane Mage is great into the Rogue Mage Druid, but I think it's a better matchup than trying to play Fire Mage into the Frost Death Knight. So if Wildcard Gaming right now, they go into a situation where they play their Fire Mage Warrior Paladin into the Rogue Mage Druid and they can win, I feel like that's got to be their best blind pick, unless they have something completely out of left field that I'm not really anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, Arcane Mage, we saw how well it can shut down a Frost Death Knight. Do you think, Jelly, that it's something that's just going to look good against cleaves in general?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it will look better than the Fire Mage for sure, especially against a Frost Death Knight. The fear is the last game is going to be Method Black's counter pick, and if they lock in the Arcane Mage, there's the Rogue Mage to counter it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that it's all for naught if we can't see a swing win here for this team, if we can't see Wildcard Gaming actually pull two down back-to-back, and we're already running out of games here in this best of 5. They've been looking incredible. They've definitely made me believe, though, oh yeah, it's actually impossible for them to, they're always going to be in a situation here where 5th game, they're not going to have absolute knowledge. Just crunch the numbers on that one. It's definitely looking a little bit grim, but it was looking grim before we even got to the arena here today for this team, and they have definitely made quite a few people start to question which compositions are going to win this tournament.
You know what, if Looney wins this series, I really hope we get an interview of him again, because it was quite funny watching his interview at the end of yesterday. Like, this guy, I mean, you could tell the mentality he's in, right? Like, he came into this tournament, very little expectations other than, hey, Method Black, get us our BlizzCon spot. That was basically the way this team approached the tournament, and suddenly they find everything within their own hands. They're very capable hands, apparently, as they will be locking in this matchup once again. I really think that this is a team that has very little to lose. They've already locked in the BlizzCon spot. There's no expectations on them because we prior would expect Rogue Mage Druid to win this hands down. So that could be Wildcard Gaming at their scariest, to be honest. There's no pressure on them. They're playing their game and they're playing their hearts out.
I actually thought that they had just ripped the hearts out of Alec and his entire squad, right? And then they came back today, and ultimately they are able to take out Method Orange. They're able to stop that BlizzCon run. We won't see Method Orange at BlizzCon. Right now, with how it stands with the remaining teams, though, Healing Set, what are the most likely permutations of teams that we actually do see at BlizzCon?
It's actually really interesting. So Wildcard Gaming, they've already locked in their spot, right? But actually the team that stands to benefit from Cloud9 in the lower bracket is Mimpoike's team, Team Prismatic. In terms of outcomes, they have a 75% chance to go to BlizzCon right now. The only team and the only way that they don't make it to BlizzCon is if Diabolos win not only their next series against C9, but also the series after that against the loser of this current game that we're playing right now. So Diabolos are watching this very, very closely, and so presumably are Mimpoike's team. If Mimpoike's team goes to BlizzCon, obviously they didn't have the greatest tournament here, but I mean, they are watching these other European squads very close.
Yeah, the stakes are right in our face right now. We're going to be settling all of that here today. You don't want to miss any of it, but right now, Method Black on match point, trying to close out this series and get to the grand final.
Yeah, and Waz in stealth right now. Who is he going to open on? In the last game, Wildcard Gaming, they really focused their attention on Raikou, just shutting him down, allowing Blizzo high amounts of uptime. Morrow on the Fire Mage, playing the Concentrated Flame as well. It's just big damage in burst windows onto Raikou if they get any crowd control on Chaz. Right now, Looney into a Polymorph. Morrow is the main target of choice Method Black going to be committing a lot of their kidney shots there, trying to take him down. But keep in mind, they also made some good swaps onto Looney in the last game, so that's something they could be looking out for in this game. Yeah,
certainly Waz will want to be tricky in this one, maybe swaps to Looney. Actually, one thing we haven't really seen is swaps to Blizzo, but certainly Arms Warriors can die. The deeper the game goes into dampening as well, something to consider. But in the early game, shutting down Morrow, getting damage out, cheap shot, cheap, nice crowd control from Method Black, clean opener to the match. They forced Ice Block early in game 2. Are they going to be able to do it again here?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Morrow gets the Life Cocoon. Nicely done by Looney before the Polymorph goes off, giving him a big shield so he can stay alive. But that is the Vendetta. Maledict rolling on tomorrow. He has the Temporal Shield up, looking for crowd control. Can he find it? Unfortunately denied with a kidney shot into a Cyclone. Really good control there by Method Black, denying the crowd control of Morrow, allowing Raikou to survive. And now still, most of the pressure is on Morrow in this game.
One of the things that Method Black said to us when we were interviewing them prior to this tournament was, we were asking them, why did the spring finals not go so well for them? One of the things was preparation, but the other thing was just playing a faster-paced game. They feel like they can outplay their opponents in the fast-paced game. It's much more pressure on their opposition. Wildcard Gaming are having to feel that right now. Method Black all over them, but they are respecting it, they're surviving it, and they're actually taking the lead as consequence of it. Raikou forced into the Ice Block. Meanwhile, Morrow did a stellar job of holding on to his. Looney trades out Trinket for Blind, a fair trade. Wildcard Gaming, once again, they've survived the storm, they weathered that. Now they're the ones pushing, and they forced that Ice Block.
If they win this game, Wildcard Gaming is going to be kicking themselves that, they didn't try this out a little bit earlier on in the season, because Rogue Mage Druid has been the bane of their existence, and they're ahead in this matchup. They've already beat Diabolus. Now, Method Black, they're up 1-0 in the Rogue Mage Druid versus the Warrior Mage Monk matchup, and they're up on an Ice Block. They managed to get the first Ice Block from Raikou in the game. Morrow still has one of his left, and things are looking good here for Wildcard Gaming. Let's see what they can do. However, Method Black looking to strike back. Kidney shot on Morrow. Full Cyclone on Looney. This is easily the Cauterize. Battlemaster, Shimmer. Morrow trying to hold on the best he can, and he manages to hold on to not only the Cauterize, but his Ice Block as well. Looney with the Life Cocoon coming in clutch, and that was really nicely done by Morrow, holding on to so many of those defenses, only really relying on that Battlemaster to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, that was a team effort there. They got the Battlemasters, they used the Commanding Shout from Blizzo, and they used the Life Cocoon, but it was so well timed from Wildcard Gaming. And I mean, if you commit all those cooldowns and you still have to Ice Block, it's the worst case scenario. But because they were able to hold it, now they do have the Ice Block for the next set of DRs. Still, Method Black are all over this game. They have so much pressure. They force the Ice Block. They still have crowd control everywhere. It's so difficult for Wildcard Gaming to recover. Full Cyclone on Looney. Cauterize procs. This could be game for Method Black, and they will win it 3-1, advancing to the grand finals.
They're definitely getting loud now, but I kind of feel like Wildcard Gaming probably doesn't even care what Method Black is doing at this point. They came out, they definitely played their game very well. I think they have gotten in the heads of many teams, and I think they've definitely impressed themselves. We'll see what they'll be able to do in the lower side of the bracket, if they'll be able to maybe even potentially make it all the way back to a grand final. And honestly, I think if we get into a 7-game series and we run this one back, Jelly, they might even be able to take it.
I mean, yeah, that was a really well played game by Method Black. There was even a point where all 3 members, I think 2 goes in a row, were CC'd, and at the very end, Morrow, I believe, was locked out and not able to get out of the smoke bomb. Drops the smoke bomb. So much pressure is going out the whole game, but he did do a really good job holding his Ice Block at one point. With the Battlemasters plus the Molten Armor, being able to save it for the next go, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
I think right now, seeing Method Black get to the grand final, this is definitely a pretty big deal for them, too. They want to have that momentum headed into BlizzCon, Jelly.
Yeah, I mean, Wildcard Gaming made it, so they can at least be happy about that, but Method Black going into BlizzCon is going to be so confident. There's no way that they could even question themselves as one of the best teams, if not the best team right now.
I honestly just feel like Method Black, if they wanted to win every LAN this year. They're already potentially disappointed in their performance with not having that first LAN win, and I think that they're definitely out for revenge here. This tournament, they look even better than they did at that first LAN, and this is definitely the time to have everything come together right before BlizzCon. And I think that the fact that they haven't gotten complacent either, from what we've been hearing about War Games, Venruki, from what we've been seeing in the different comps they can play, they're a pretty scary force.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. And here's the thing about Method Black as well is other teams, if it's not their meta, they're probably not going to win. But for Method Black, I mean, Rogue Mage has been great, sure, but even when Rogue Mage isn't great, they can play different compositions, and I think that's where the flexibility of all 4 members and bringing on Swapsy has really helped them, because even if there are changes and Rogue Mage isn't one of the best comps in the game, you could still expect them to perform at that top tier level and be prepared with basically any composition in the game that will be good, and that's why they're probably going to find success.
Yeah, and let's hear what Raikou has to say after his win.
Hey, you guys, I'm here with Raikou. Congratulations on that win. Now, you guys are a team that are really well known for your Rogue Mage, and then you swapped off. What happened?
We never faced the comp they played before, so we kind of knew. We faced them a few times, actually on ladder, like 2 months ago, and we played Windwalker DK and we beat them. And I saw, Diablos lose yesterday, so we were a bit worried about playing Rogue Mage. So we just brought it out, it worked out fine.
Now, everybody says you guys are practicing 10 hours a day. You're getting the most practice in by far. You're always wargaming in there. How do you guys stay so focused as a team?
When we don't practice, we're actually really bored. We just sit there and what do we do the whole night? It's like a habit, I guess. So I know we all enjoy getting better and learning new comps, and we've been together for such a long time. So it's fun to just practice together, I think, as a friends.
Now, you guys are in the grand finals now. Is Method Black gonna win this?
I think we'll win, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you guys at the desk.
I think that's such an interesting thing to hear. It's wait, what do we do if we're not practicing? I honestly think the real winning strat there is to just consume anime, right? Because then even though you're not practicing, you're still getting better. You're learning how to outthink your opponent. You're learning how to move faster. You're learning how to just be a better competitor in general. So you might not even notice that you're practicing, but ultimately your brain is just functioning on a whole different level, and you can just let out a nice, get back down to practice, and you're going to be stronger than ever before. And we're going to see that here on the bracket as well, as we see some of these redemption arcs actually starting to come together as well. But next up, it's going to be Cloud9 going against a team that, Adrian, you called it. They're on fire right now.
Yeah, I mean, Diabolos, I was honestly, I think a lot of us were incredibly surprised when Wildcard Gaming took yesterday's, it was a 5-game thriller, honestly, between them and Diabolos, but Diabolos lost that one, now down in lower bracket, and they have to win 2 series in a row to secure the final BlizzCon spot. If they fail to beat Cloud9, or if they fail to beat Wildcard Gaming in what would be a rematch, then they won't go to BlizzCon, and it will actually be Minpoike's team, Team Prismatic, that secures that 5th and final spot between Europe and North America. So the stakes could not be higher for these next 2 series.
It's actually so absurd when you think about everybody's road right now and you assign accolades to each team. You look at the road for Method Orange, for example, and you go, wait, they had to play against one of the most dominant teams in the entire world. A lot of people expect to actually take BlizzCon. And then right after that, they have to play from the champion the year before. The competition is higher than ever before, and we are down to the wire. We don't have room for all of these teams at BlizzCon, the biggest tournament of the year. And right now, we are going to be doing the tough job of cutting down the remaining teams and figuring out who will go from NA and EU. This next matchup is going to be fantastic. You don't want to miss it. It's right after this.